Tomás de Torquemada was born in 1420 in Valladolid, Spain, into a family of conversos Jews who had converted to Christianity. He joined the Dominican order as a young man and quickly gained a reputation for his ascetic lifestyle, strict religious discipline, and intellectual devotion to Catholic orthodoxy. His unwavering faith and relentless pursuit of doctrinal purity earned him recognition within the Church. In an age when Spain was redefining its religious and political identity, Torquemada aligned himself with powerful figures at court, eventually rising to the position of confessor to Queen Isabella of Castile. This position gave him not only influence over the Queen but also a platform to enforce his vision of religious unity. By 1483, when Ferdinand and Isabella sought to consolidate their rule, Torquemada emerged as the ideal candidate to oversee the newly established Spanish Inquisition. His appointment as the first Grand Inquisitor of Castile gave him near unchecked power over matters of faith. He saw himself as a guardian of Catholic orthodoxy and believed that the presence of Jews, Muslims, and even converted Christians suspected of secretly practicing their former faith threatened the spiritual and political stability of the realm. The authority of the Inquisition, coupled with the monarchy's desire for religious uniformity, allowed him to build a system of tribunals across Spain. Torquemada's tenure was marked by a relentless pursuit of heresy. He instituted harsh interrogation methods, public trials, and the use of torture to extract confessions. Those found guilty often faced public humiliation, confiscation of property, imprisonment, or execution by burning. Under his direction, the Inquisition became a tool not only for enforcing religious conformity but also for solidifying the authority of the Spanish crown. His actions targeted conversos suspected of backsliding into Judaism, Moriscos accused of practicing Islam in secret, and even intellectuals who questioned the limits of church doctrine. Despite the brutality of his methods, Torquemada saw himself as carrying out a sacred duty. He sincerely believed that saving souls from heresy even through fear and punishment was justified in the eyes of God. His rigid worldview left no room for tolerance or compromise. Beyond the persecution of individuals, he played a key role in advocating for the expulsion of Jews from Spain in 1492. Believing their presence endangered the purity of Christian society. This decree led to the forced exile of tens of thousands of Jews, many of whom had lived in the Iberian Peninsula for centuries. Torquemada's legacy is one of deep controversy. To some in his time, he was a defender of Catholic orthodoxy and a loyal servant of the monarchy, instrumental in shaping Spain into a unified Christian kingdom. To others, both then and now, he represents the darkest side of religious zealotry where faith was used as justification for cruelty, oppression, and the destruction of entire communities. He died in 1498, but the system he helped build endured for centuries, casting a long shadow over Spanish and European history. Tomás de Torquemada's rule as the first Grand Inquisitor of Spain left behind one of the darkest reputations in religious and political history. His legacy is defined by the intertwining of faith, power, and fear. To his defenders in his own time, Torquemada was a guardian of Catholic orthodoxy, a man who protected the soul of Spain from heresy at a moment when the nation sought to unify under one faith. Yet, to the countless victims who suffered under his command, he was the embodiment of cruelty cloaked in religion, a man whose name became synonymous with persecution. The Spanish Inquisition under his leadership set a precedent for organized, state-supported religious control. Thousands of Jews, Muslims, and suspected heretics were forced to convert, flee, or face imprisonment and torture. Many were executed in public spectacles meant to instill fear and cement authority. Even among the converted, suspicion lingered. Families were torn apart, wealth was confiscated, and entire communities were uprooted. His policies contributed to one of the greatest expulsions in European history, the expulsion of the Jews in 1492, which not only altered the demographics of Spain but also deprived the kingdom of a population rich in culture, commerce, and scholarship. Despite his notorious record, Torquemada was not acting in isolation. He reflected the religious fervor and political aspirations of Spain in the late 15th century. Monarchs Ferdinand and Isabella relied on him, finding in the Inquisition a means to consolidate power and ensure religious uniformity. Torquemada himself lived modestly, reportedly avoiding personal wealth, which only strengthened his image as a man devoted entirely to his mission. But his devotion was to a vision of faith that left no room for difference, no tolerance for dissent, and no mercy for those who strayed from orthodoxy. In the centuries that followed, Torquemada's name became a symbol, often invoked as a warning about the dangers of fanaticism and unchecked authority. He is remembered not as a ruler in the traditional political sense, but as a figure whose control over religious and judicial power was absolute. His actions raised timeless questions about the use of faith as a tool of governance, about how far a society may go to preserve unity, and about the moral cost of enforcing belief through fear. To this day, historians debate whether Torquemada believed sincerely in his mission or whether he was driven by a thirst for control. Perhaps both are true. What remains undeniable is that his tenure marked an era of terror that scarred Spain's history forever. He died in 1498, but the institution he built endured for centuries, continuing long after his death. In this sense, his shadow stretched far beyond his lifetime. His legacy is a reminder of how power, when fused with zealotry, can destroy the very humanity it claims to protect.